Nope. All right. So what is impact by lead? As you can see, we do consider, as most of us are alums, there's lots of existing folks in various cohorts that are part of the movement as well. The idea was that through the privilege that we have, through the education that we have, through the networks and all the things that Carolyn articulated in the previous sessions, we have a little bit of a not just passion to do something bigger than our day jobs, but also a responsibility to create impact and create that in a sustainable manner. And while there is individual activities going on in various lead groups around sustainability, around social, around this, around understanding plastic, net zero, and a lot of other things. We thought, one of the key aspect that was missing was how do you understand the value that's created from a purely, capitalistic Milton Friedman type of a world to how do you convert that into first amplifying that value through the skills that we have, but then more importantly, how do you change the discussion from a shareholder conversation to a stakeholder value distribution? And that's what I think brought a lot of us together, Grisha and Satya and Kate and a few of folks who initially started this. As they spoke about it, we all got more and more interested, and now there's more than 300 people, 350 members in the group. So why now and why at Me2B? Obviously, it's the biggest group where all the leaders kind of come together. They look beyond the courses, they look beyond the skills and the opportunities that are available to them through the LEAD course. We thought it's important, especially in the light of the movie Don't Look Up. I think it sends that message that we may not think that it's happening right now. We may not think that it's going to impact us right now. We may not think that a coffee farmer, based out of Latin America, Vietnam, and other places, their lives have really anything to do with us. But they do in a lot of ways, right? Whether it is just the price of the coffee that you pay, whether it is actually what we think about the planet that we live in, whether it is about just generally creating the right governance structures in the organizations that we either found ourselves or work for. All of these are kind of connected, and it's extremely important to kind of engage in different levels in this conversation of how does LEAD create an impact, what type of knowledge, what type of thought leadership can we as a group of individuals bring in whatever capacity we would like to. So again, right, I mean, all of these things are happening from a climate perspective. There's a lot of social impact as well. There's the wage gap continues to increase between individuals. The rich continue to get richer, poor stay poor. The demands on the planet, the demands on the people itself, it's like not a rocket science to know that something needs to change fundamentally from a behavioral perspective, but also there are models and the way in which we measure what success means, what profit means, and ultimately what impact means to us as individuals and as society. And that's what Impact by the LEAD group is. We've kind of, distributed or categorized ourselves along interests. So there's an agriculture group, there's an EV group, there's an energy and transportation group, there's a finance group, there is just general circular economy group, and there is multiple groups. So the idea is whoever you are, as long as you're part of the LEAD community, if you see something that is interesting in a startup world, if you see something somebody is doing that may inspire some thoughts, come and bring and engage in this conversation that will not only improve the education and the understanding that we have as a LEAD community, but it will allow us to then bring it all together and create some, whether it is white paper, whether it is presentations, whether it is just engagement, better awareness in our own broader circles beyond LEAD. And ultimately, we could create, once again, some type of guidance, some type of IP that helps to make the impact in a way that I mentioned earlier, right? The idea is to shift away from a shareholder strictly profit-based measurements to a more stakeholder, right? Looking after the employees, looking after every aspect of your supply chain, and see where do you, for your own profits, are impacting others in an kind of what we would consider as a unreasonable manner, and try to make those tweaks and switches appropriately. So specific activities that we engage in are, along those lines, along those mission and vision that we have is, it is a think tank. Every month we have sessions and presentations individually as group, as well as bringing guests to talk about what is it that they are doing in different corners of the world. We have, and I'll show a snapshot of different presentations that we have. We want to study different models that are coming up out of institutes like Harvard, like Stanford, like a lot of other researchers that are trying to make that understand the economics of sharing a little bit better. Want to truly understand the journey of various stakeholders that engage in again, the coffee that we drink at Starbucks. I don't know how much we think about what is that farmer making, what type of soil impact does it have by increasing that farming? What is the distribution chain looks like? Are there new opportunities? Are there ways in which we can improve the impact? And thinking that our consumption is not going down, but how do we truly try and reduce the carbon footprint that we have, whether it is in food area or some others, and then ultimately try and publish something as part of LEAD in partnership with these various organizations. There's lots of topics, as I mentioned, that interest us. Kate will talk about topics that she's passionate about. Coming from a tech background, obviously net zero is an important area that we, from an organizational perspective, do. But personally, impact investing is an area that I feel very passionate about, and hence lead the finance subgroup part of the impact. And that's the beauty of this group is whatever interest you have as a leader, you come, you talk, ask questions, and if you think one of the subgroup aligns with your thought process, you want to engage with those people and take it to the next level, that's fine. If you think the existing groups are not exactly what you want to do, what you want to learn, where you want to bring in like-minded people, then you could do that too, and create a new subgroup. All of it lives on, workplace, and all of us are kind of, again, distributed in the way, but also connected in only the way that Me2B demonstrates how LEAD kind of comes together day in and day out. I think that was the last slide I had, right, Kate? To just talk about the introduction and how we have kind of structured ourselves, where we have come from, where we want to go, and why all the leaders should become part of this movement. Absolutely. Let me hand it over to Kate to take you guys through the next few slides. Kate, let me know whenever you want me to switch slides.
Yes, Phoram, thanks for the introduction of our impact team. Sachio-san and Sachio-san and our lead Jean has paved the way earlier this week, and Gricha and Julian are going to close this session tonight. So we're a dynamic team. And as Phoram mentioned, where we are so far, we have 346 members in the impact group at Stanford, tuning in from 20 different countries, and we cover areas of EMEA, the Americas, Asia Pacific. And Phoram mentioned about the impact investing is one of his passion, and every leader in our team has our subset of interest, and mine is mental health. And according to research, there are one person commits suicide in every 40 seconds. This is according to WHO in 2021. And there are 1.8 billion millennials in 2021, and according to World Economic Forum. And there are 1.3 millennials affected by mental health issues. And this directly impacts the SEG goals under the criteria social, equal opportunities, health and safety, human rights, customer and products, and responsibility in child labor. Now, Phoram, could you go to the next slide, please? Yes. And where we're going with this, we have external speakers joining us every month. Namely, we have had Andy Murch, who is the Vice President of Phil's Coffee, and the inside joke of our team, I was notified today that coffee meets chocolate, and Gricha is a passionate person advocating for coffee sustainability and giving back power to the people who are working on behalf of these companies. And Andy advocates for, the other way around. Gricha advocates for chocolate, Andy advocates for coffee. Now, another prominent speaker is Sir Bronner Cohen. He's the author of Impact. And based on his upbringing, leaving Egypt at early age of 9 or 11 to England, he understands how challenging it is to be on the bottom part of the society. And so as an impact investor now, he is passionate about empowering people from bottom up. And we have another speaker from Stanford, Dr. Neil Malhotra. He studied political science, has a PhD in political science. And another speaker is Emily Murrell. She's the director of the World Bank. She cares about sustainability. And our own lead participant, Simon Davis, is doing excellent work with his company startup called Ox, giving leverage to people in Africa to find work. And finally, we had Christopher Laurel, the SVP of Enride. Next slide, please. Yes, so either weekend or monthly speaker series, we focus on agriculture, finance, insurance, energy, transportation, and more to come. As Sachio-san mentioned, there are 8 subgroups, and we would like to add one more on the spectrum on the criteria of mental health. I'm pushing that. Next slide, please. So this is a future potential. I can speak about mental health is normal as physical health, and we want to destigmatize it for the direct benefit of ESG goal. Next slide, please. Simon, he is our leader. He is the CEO at Ox company. He focuses on innovative ecosystem to provide clean and affordable transportation in emerging markets. And then next slide, please. And our impact committee, Abhishek, he focuses on zero plastic leakage solutions and how global companies in the plastic value chains are connecting, joining forces and collaborating to reduce plastic leakage into the environment. So next, please. Yeah, so we have prominent speakers from the outside and inside here in our LEAD community. And our goal is to transform the corporate world in general. And so we have been collaboratively working for about 1 year together as a team. And if you guys join us, we can find more talent globally and find ways to expand this impact together. Next. So yes, why we're coming together, despite any of the disagreements, we really care about the impact, social impact. And as Phoram mentioned earlier, we do have privilege and the time. So let's focus on helping people who are vulnerable, less privileged than us. So yeah, I'm open for questions.
Thanks, Kate. We'll also post the workplace group for anybody that wants to look at these past events, look at the videos that Kate spoke about, and engage in any kind of discussion. So yeah, the journey would start there, but I'd be happy to, for those that are present, if you have any specific questions that we can answer right now.
Yes, and Gricha is doing excellent work with Sachio-san on raising funding for the Ukraine civilians. Would you like to share about that, Gricha?
Yeah, thank you, Kate. I'll spend 1 or 2 minutes just explaining what we are doing as an example of the agility and the power that Impact by LEAD is already reaching after just 1 year. Because 6 days ago, we decided from a group in Impact by LEAD, we decided to start a fundraiser for the civilians in Ukraine. So there, I cannot see a better example of value sharing to stakeholders. So we are trying to promote stakeholder capitalism, which is about taking care about other stakeholders than the unique shareholder. So in this case, we have started to, we decided to start a fundraiser for Ukraine. There was a very good article of one of our idol, Phoram, which says that helping Ukraine, the civilians in Ukraine, was a duty of every company in the world. And so we followed this and started a fundraising on GoFundMe that has already reached, after 6 days, over $11,000. And I believe that it's a nice example of value sharing by as promoted by Impact by LEAD. So.
And Grisha, how much did we raise in span of 6 days?
11,000.
Wow.
And it seems to be accelerating, because I would say the first 3 days, it was mostly donations from the organizers just to start the machine. So now we are really seeing a bigger number of people. And I encourage everyone to, of course, to donate if you can, but mostly to share the information, the link to the GoFundMe. The more 1,000 people access this link, the more funds we can raise. And by the way, the funds, we don't touch the money at Impact by LEAD. It goes to GoFundMe, and from GoFundMe, it goes immediately to the Red Cross, the International Red Cross, helping Ukraine. They made a demand 1 week ago to raise $109 million. That's what they estimated 1 week ago as the demand for helping Ukraine civilian. So we contribute as much as we can, and the money goes directly to the Red Cross, transiting by GoFundMe.
Wow. Amazing. And this is the power of Impact team and
exactly.
all of us leaders. Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Feel free to open mic and ask any of us here, please. We have Phoram, Satyo-san, Grisha, Kate, and Jean here.
Yes, I actually was going to ask a Grisha a question. This is Jean, but I love how Grisha explains the themes of value sharing and value amplification, and explaining the difference between those two things. They're both key themes of the Impact book, and by Ronald Cohen, Sir Ronald Cohen. And I thought, Grisha, if you could explain that a little bit more, it'd be great.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. So actually, I will explain by giving you another example in which we did not contribute as a group. Just an example of what should be the right thing to do in terms of sharing value. There is a mega chocolate company in the world that 2 years ago distributed $680 million of dividend to their shareholders. And at the same time, a study by an independent group showed that this chocolate company is buying cacao beans, so the main ingredient, to a community of 90,000 farmers, all of them and their families living under poverty standards. So you can see already that this chocolate company creates value at the level of $680 million, and is so much not sharing value that their main supplier of a raw material without which the chocolate company would not even exist, because no cacao, no chocolate, they refuse to share the value. And we have made a calculation, not me, the independent auditor, that if they were allocating $400 million out of the 680 to pay the correct living income to the farmers, then you would have an amplification of value sharing, because this money, $400 million, would go to the farmers, but it would go to the education of their kids. Their kids would go to university, And so you have a total change of the social landscape of the cocoa sourcing. And the family, because it's a single family that lives in Europe, would still have $280 million dividend for a year. That's almost $1 million to spend per day. I mean, who needs more than that, right? So this is the exact example. This is the driver of impact by LEAD. We want to look at the value sharing, no longer to shareholder, but to stakeholders. And we want to try to amplify the value sharing.
That's a very good explanation. I think it's very clear. So thank you for doing that. And there's a lot more explanation in the book itself, right? The impact book. If people get it either electronically or buying it on Amazon, it's not that expensive and it's a great investment. So thank you.
Yep. All right, guys, I know, thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of this. Hopefully the remaining part of Me2B you enjoy and kind of come together. I've pasted the link to the group on Workplace. Please do reach out and ask us any questions you have, or if you have any suggestions or ideas on things that we can take up.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear that as well.
Yeah, Phoram, one more thing that we mentioned in our earlier session is that we record a lot of these weekly sessions that people may have missed, and they can find them on Workplace and go back and look at these sessions that we've recorded already, and they're quite good. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that.
No problem. You did a great job.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Have a great rest of Me2B and your weekends as well.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much. Talk later.